Hey guys, what's up? Jared here, Decks and Dice, Ramblings of an LGS owner. If you hear a hum and all that good stuff, it's the dehumidifier and the fans going, so I apologize about that. I'm gonna walk around and talk and explore the shop while I talk. This is a video. This is the second shoot actually, because the first one I really didn't like. This video is kind of I don't want to say response video, but I got nothing else better than that. Response video for Rob's video, Rob from RNG Games, about his $1 million store. Like, this is what it looks like, and this is what I have, and blah blah blah. This is no way, shape, form, or fashion any shade whatsoever tossed towards Rob. Rob, I love you. You're a good dude. We talk. This is all just trying to show people that you can start with crap and still be good. And I mean crap in the best way possible. Like, you don't have to have slat walls. You don't have to be that corporate sanitized look, You don't have to have all of that shit just to start up your shop and get it going. As you can tell, my shop does not look like a corpo sanitized shop, because it's not. It's mine. It has my little personality with it, which is, it doesn't have to be beautiful, it just has to be functional. Okay? I'm like an orc. I don't really care what it looks like as long as it does the job. So just for a little story on like how much my shop made, because I guess people would want to know that if they're going to try to follow my advice for this. Between online sales and in-shop sales, I think we grossed 330 last year, 340, no more than 350. So between 330, 350, somewhere around there in total overall sales. Now, after everything was said and done, and by that I mean, bills here at the shop were paid, bills at the house were paid, all the nitty-gritty ins and outs. After everything was paid, I made a whopping $8,800, maybe $9,000 last year overall. So, like, not spectacular, but this beautiful place here was able to carry itself and me. So you obviously don't have to be corpo cookie cutter looking to, succeed, which I guess we did in the most barest sense possible, which is highly acceptable. But anyways, my point with this is for the person who might be thinking like, oh, I need $900,000 or whatever to just open up shop. You don't, man. And I know this is going to vary from place to place and everything, but sorry, there's dust everywhere. It's allergy season. Like I've said before, this whole entire shebang, I started with a grand total of probably 20 grand, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly. I've said it before, but, sold family land to get the initial investment, which was like $20K. I used $10K of that to like float the house and everything, and used $10K to get this started, essentially. And yeah, I had a full-time job for the last 3 years upon running this thing. I've been in business 4 years, so only within the last year have I been able to, make the shop do what I was wanting to do. But anyways, these are just a few pointers that I can give someone who thinks they need all that money to get started, which you don't. First off, I guess we'll go with the space itself. I lucked out. I am in downtown Seneca, South Carolina. So if you're ever in the neck of the woods, come say hey. If you're like, where is that? I am literally right next door to Clemson, South Carolina. I am very much a college shop, believe it or not. But yeah, look. Downtown Seneca is where I am. Now, it wasn't this busy a couple of years ago. After COVID and everything, it's a normal small town Main Street thing where it was pretty much dead. So I was able to kind of get the shop at a discount, just because they were wanting people to move in. I furthered that discount because I'm not like Mr. Handy, but I can fix things if I really need to. So I worked out a deal with the landlord to where if it's, something small, like, I don't know, someone puts a hole in the sheetrock, the toilet gets clogged or the toilet gets broken, small little random things, like if an actual light electrical outlet goes out, I can replace that, stuff like that. So he gave me a further discount because I wouldn't be pestering him with small, menial bullshit repairs. Now, if it's something big like HVAC or a legitimate electrical issue or, the roof leaks or whatever, that's on him. So the point with that is don't be afraid to talk to the landlord or whatever and try to work out a deal. The worst they can say is no. And yeah, if it's some big corporate owned real estate agency or something, you probably won't be able to do that. But again, never hurts to try. So just try it. You just never know. And also, realistically, man, you don't need this much space especially starting out. If you can, cool, do what I did. But with the front area here and my back area there, which I'll show you later, which if you're familiar with my videos, you've seen. But anyways, the front and the back is roughly 2,000 square feet. Roughly. It's 1,900 and something, but it's about 2,000 square feet. It's nice to have. You don't need it. If you can find a 5, 6, 7, 800 square foot location, for relatively cheap and all that, that's really all you need. Most card games like Magic or Bandai, they do Digimon and all sorts of other shit. Konami, stuff like that. Konami does Yu-Gi-Oh! If you didn't know. They only require you to fit a minimum of 16 people, which is, maybe 3 8-foot tables. So that can be done in a small space. Another thing that you can highly consider, aside from being corpo sanitized slat wall, which, don't get me wrong, slat wall is great, looks nice, but it's expensive as shit. You can do pegboard. Is it beautiful? No. Does it do the job? Yes. Yes, it does. And you can paint it just like you can paint fucking slat wall if you want to or whatever. Paint it to your color or whatever. And they're, at least around here, they're $25 a sheet. And it's it's the same size as drywall, 4 foot by 8. You can literally just replace drywall like I've done with chunks of pegboard. It's functional. That's really all you need to start out, and go. The hooks and stuff, man, they're cheap as crap. You can find them on Amazon for I don't know, $10 for 100 or something. So you've got that covered. If you want to display your play mats and stuff like this, you can also hit Amazon or whatever, find these clothes hangers, and they're relatively cheap too, so that's not an issue. The only thing you might run into, I guess, would be trying to figure out a way to display things like that. They make pegboard shelves, which admittedly, these things can be expensive. I had some left over from when I was a manager at GameStop, and they were kind of cycling out the old shelves and they were replacing the new ones. So my hoarding ass, I took some home and just sat on them because they might come in handy, and they did. But they're about $25 a piece, depending on where you get them. If you don't want to use shelves, I don't really recommend it, but it works, and it works really well, honestly. It just, again, if you don't like the way it looks or whatever, but you can use hooks for your pegboard to hold things. So you don't really need shelves, but like, you know, it is what it is. And again, the hooks are cheap as crap. What else? So like, okay, so tables. Tables are going to be an issue. Realistically, man, if you're just starting out, yeah, I know my floor's great. If you're just starting out, this is an 8-foot, like, old school, I don't know, like cafeteria table it used to be, I think, or whatever. I got lucky. There was a retro video game store going out of business in the next town over, and I was able to scoop up his 4 8-foot tables, some of his chairs. I'll get into the display cases and stuff a little bit later, but he only had 2 display cases to begin with. But I was able to scoop that stuff up for $1,200, $13. That was like 4 years ago. No more than $1,500. So like, you know, that took care of that. You just got to be vigilant when looking for that kind of stuff. You know, you gotta, same thing with like trying to find chairs and everything. Thrift stores are probably going to be your friend, and tables, the thrift stores are probably going to be your friend. Starting out, you just got to be vigilant and just keep checking in every other day or two or whatever, you know, just to see if anything new has come in. Because again, if you get a small spot, you only need to sit 16 people, so you don't really need a lot of tables either. If, however, you do want to go the new route, I would highly suggest going to Walmart and just picking you up some of these cheap-ass black tables. Again, they're not beautiful, but they get the job done. And they're like, I think, $20 a piece, 25, somewhere around there. And you can start getting 6-foot play mats through your distros to where it spices it up a little bit. It's not just a table sitting there, you know. Same thing with the 8-foot tables. You can get 8-foot play mats through your distro, so it's not just bleh, there's a table. But yeah, so the 6-foot's about 25. You can find the standard 8-foot plastic tables, you know, at your local Walmart, Costco, or whatever. I think they're about 70 to 75, somewhere around there. But again, we're just talking about entry level, getting your foot into the door and getting your shop up and going. Okay? I'm not talking about years down the road when you're successful and you can afford $200 tables each or whatever. I'm talking about just starting out. So please keep that in mind with this entire video. If you decide to do Games Workshop stuff, they supply their own racking, so like you don't have to worry about that. That's going to look great no matter what. There's more pegboard, but you see, you can still use it for pretty much everything, man. It does the job. It does what it's supposed to do. It's effective. Chairs. The chairs are probably going to be the bane of your existence, to be completely honest with you. Just because, believe it or not, they're expensive as shit, unless you can, like I did with these red ones here. They were at my local Habitat for Humanity. They had, I don't know, 20-something of them. And I was like, hey, man, how much would you charge me per chair for all of them? And he was like, $3 a chair. I said, fucking sold. So that's how I acquired those. These, I think I've only got 4 of those, but they were at a local thrift store. And again, I think I only ended up paying $5 a piece for them, maybe 7. You know, so you got to be vigilant. You got to keep looking. These chairs right here, these are just padded folding chairs. I got them off of Amazon. Depends on if you can catch them during a sale or whatever, but you can get like, I don't know, I think I got 6 for like $100 or something like that, or 80, somewhere around there. But you can usually catch them a little bit cheaper, just depending on what sale you can find. So yeah, you know, again, we're just talking about just starting out, and once you get up and going, if you want to make all your chairs and tables the same, you're more than welcome to. Just, you know, aesthetics are not everything, is kind of what I'm trying to get past with this, is that you can start with, you know, basic bitch stuff and just work your way up as you start making more money and all that. You can start upgrading things. But as far as just starting out, almost anything works, because most people who are going to come into your shop are just normie, everyday gamers, you know. They don't really care what it looks like, as long as it's not falling apart or it's going to be like a safety issue. They just want a cool place to come, hang out, buy some cards, some dice or whatever, play mats, hang out with their buddies, play a few games, decompress from the day, and then GTFO. You know, like, pretty simple, cut and dry. The people that are going to come in and overly scrutinize your shop, be like high maintenance customers or whatever, you can't avoid them. They're going to be here. They're going to be the super picky ones. You know, they're going to leave you a 2-star review or some shit because you had dust. You know, you had dust on a display or something. So don't worry about trying to please those people, because for every one of those people that doesn't come back to your shop, you're going to get 2 or 3 normie dudes. And I mean, dudes is in the general sense, like, you know, unisex use there, whatever. Anyways, you'll get 2 or 3 other dudes that just want to hang out and don't care. So, you know, don't worry about catering to those high maintenance mofos, because at the end of the day, they're really not that important. Let's see. Bookshelves, $25 at Walmart. Bam. They hold books. They do what they're supposed to. No one has complained about that. And if they do, fuck them. Like, they do what they're supposed to do. Yeah, it's dusty, but honestly, like, I live in a super, super dusty spot. So I could dust today, and by, let's see, today's Wednesday. By Friday, it would still be that bad. So I kind of gave up. But anywho, let's see, what else? Got the chairs, got the tables. Oh yeah, displays. So like I said, I got lucky, and there was a store going out of business, and I was able to get 2 displays. Now, I got lucky again about a year and a half ago, and there was a vape shop in the next state over going out of business, and they were selling all of their cases. They had like 5 or 6 of them for $100 a piece. So I went and scooped up, 4 of them, I think? 4 or 5 of them for like $500 or $400, whatever. So yeah, just be vigilant on that. If you don't get lucky with that, you can find display cases on like Facebook Marketplace for relatively cheap. Like $100, $200 a piece. You know, you can find them lighted, not lighted. If you get them and they're not lighted, you can find the lights. You can find those on like Uline or whatever. There's tons of places that sell those things. They're kind of a pain in the ass to put in, but like after you put in 1 or 2, you know what you're doing, so it's not that bad. Lighted stuff is great, but it's not necessary, especially when you're starting out. Um, Pack dispensers. You can do like Rob did and go to Target and get the tea bag holders or whatever for like $3 a piece, $4 a piece. They work really well, like they do in his shop. But these are the Ultra Pro, like legitimate pack holders. You can get these through your distro when they're in stock for about $25 a piece. Just something I decide to splurge on a little bit, look more professional. Yeah, there's gaps in them and stuff, especially with the third-party games, but you'll learn this with third-party games that they are very much print to demand, and once the product is sold out, it's gone. There's no more restock, so you're kind of SOL until the new set comes out. Yeah, so there's that. What else should I... Oh yeah, a fridge. You don't have to have anything fancy. Doesn't have to be the open face, like open glass stuff with the lights all in it and everything. It's a fridge. My buddy had it in his garage. He was like, $150, it's yours. Sold. Fucking done. I have a fridge. We allow people to keep tabs, but they pay it off at the end of the night. But yeah, it's a fridge, man. It does what a fridge does. We have our drink prices there. You know, it's effective. It does what it's supposed to do. Your POS. Tons of options to choose from, man. It's really just going to depend on who you want to go with. I went with Clover because they were the quickest and easiest ones to work with. Had probably the better payment plan for getting the POS because I didn't have the $5,000 to drop on it in one fell swoop just to outright buy it. Fair warning on Clover, it's a closed system, kind of like how Apple is. So you can't really integrate a lot of crap into it. They have their own apps you can purchase and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. It just depends on which POS you want to use. Shelving, I know everyone likes those like black, beautiful, solid-looking ones and all that, but, you know, you're just starting out. You just need shelves. Fuck it. These things were... Honestly, they vary widely depending on when you catch a sale or whatever. You can get these things for as low as $25 a piece all the way up to $45 a piece. Just depends on where you catch them in a sale. Each shelf will hold 250 pounds. Obviously, you won't be putting that much on there. So, especially out here in like the retail area. So, you know, you don't have to worry too much about it. Side note, they only come with 5 shelves, so I bought some extra shelving units to rob the shelves out of them to put more shelves in my shelving unit. So, yeah. And pro tip, do this with your Dragon Shields, or at least have a swatch or something. Dragon Shield comes with anywhere from 101 to 103 sleeves inside the box, so you can afford to crack one open and use one of the sleeves to do this with, and then put the remaining bit on the swatch. It helps people figure out the colors because they can actually see them without having to go up here, pick it up, and be like, oh, well, what does this actually look like? Oh, boom. It just makes things easier. Plus for you, when you're trying to figure out what you need to restock, it's literally right there. If you don't want to check your POS or whatever, you just want to walk around and pencil some stuff. But yeah, that's just a little pro tip there. You'll need a computer, at least one, starting out. You don't need a racing fucking computer. You don't need a, GTX 5070 or anything like that. You literally, dude, this was $120 on Newegg, and that's that. It has the specs to run Windows. It has the specs to run like Firefox, Chrome, whatever browser you want to use. It does what it's supposed to do. It's cheap, effective. Your tournament software runs on there, all that good stuff. So, boom, done. You will need something like this, though. our high-tech sound system up there. Found both of those speakers for like $10. Not each, but just $10 total at a thrift store. The receiver I had to buy off of Amazon, but it was, I mean, not Amazon, but eBay. It was a whopping $25 investment. And boom, we have tunes in the shop, and that's that. No one really cares that the speakers aren't integrated into the ceiling or anything like that, or hidden or whatever. You know, it's functional. Going up to the ceiling there, lighting. Don't know how well lit your stuff will be. So you may or may not need to do what I did. Amazon shop lights, they're cheap and effective. $20 or so will get you at least two. And then they just plug into a normal outlet. That's ghetto, but again, it works and no one cares. Your lights, the little 2-prong light bulb thing, you can find those at Home Depot or Lowe's. They're, I think, $2 or $3 a piece. I would highly suggest investing in those, especially if your shit is dimly lit, or even if it's not dimly lit, it's just a way to get some extra light in there. So yeah, it doesn't give you that, you know, dive bar feel that a lot of small shops have. Let's see. What else? Oh, if you have a bad echo like I used to have, the sound dampening pads, you can find those off of Amazon. They're super cheap. It's like $45 for 100 of them or whatever, or $75, somewhere around there. Cuts down on the echo. Sorry for the traffic out front. What else? TVs, man, they're cheap nowadays, especially if you just go look on Amazon. I mean, not Amazon, but Facebook or whatever. You can find you a decent one for like $100, $120. I had that one laying around my house though, so I didn't have to spend anything on it. Again, bookshelves, they do what they're supposed to. Something we do, we have a locker system for people who just don't want to carry shit to and from. Not necessary to start out with, but kind of something cool if you want to go that way into the future. It's like $10 a month. You get your locker and a lock and so forth and so forth. What other small things? Like trash cans and stuff, man. I mean, you're going to have to probably drop money on, you know, your normal little trash cans like that. I happened to be a custodian for a while. So they were going to toss that out. So I took that home. They were going to toss the trash can out. So I took it home, to the shop. So, you know, maybe you might know a custodian or something that you can be like, hey man, if they're going to toss some stuff out, let me know. I might be able to use it for my shop, you know? Let's see. What else? I think that really about covers it, man. Like, it's mainly just, the video is mainly just to be like, hey, you don't really need hundreds of thousands of dollars to, you know, get stuff going. You can get it going for pretty cheap. And if you do it right, mind your budget and all that good stuff, you really probably only need, I don't know, $10K at the most just to get everything bought, set up, you know, rent paid for the first month or whatever, etc., etc. It's not going to cost as much as everyone likes to think it will. My building is like 100 years old, like no kidding, it's like 100 years old, so it stays humid in here for some reason. I had to get a dehumidifier. You know, laugh at me all you want for this contraption, but it really helps to try to cut down on some of the dust. I mean, despite what you saw with the bookshelf over there, it would be worse if I did not have that, believe it or not. So yeah, feel free to do ghetto things like that in your shop too. Honestly, we all know that in this industry, a lot of our clientele have hygiene issues, to put it lightly, and that will cut down slightly on that too. Also, you could be an asshole and walk around and spray Febreze everywhere when they're in here and be like, I wouldn't have to do this if you guys would just fucking shower. So, you know, it's not everybody. There's a few that will shine in this aspect, but you'll get to know who it is. And you can always pull them aside and be like, hey, man, you smell like rotten milk and not nutsack. Let's go take care of this. Otherwise, you got to fucking leave, you know? So, yeah. Obviously, I got kind of lucky with my setup just because I was able to wheel and deal with my landlord. Again, don't be scared to ask. The worst they can say is no. I guess that about sums it up. I just wanted to throw this one out here, like I said, so that you can see that you don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars. That, like, you can do it on a shoestring budget. You just got to have the ambition, the willpower, and all that good stuff to do it. I highly advise that you have some kind of managerial experience before even trying to run your own shop or anything, just because you have that experience to help transition you into this. Now, full disclosure, if you're wanting to open up a shop just so you and your buddies can have a place to come play, you're probably going to fail. Simple as that. You're probably going to fail. You're going to sit around all day. You're going to bullshit with your buddies. You're going to play games. And everything that needs to get done doesn't get done in a timely fashion. And by the time you figure out you need to do stuff, you have made a mountain out of a molehill. And good luck catching up. And I think that's probably part of the reason why a lot of these startups fail, is because they don't treat it like a legitimate business, which it is. It is not fucking playtime. It is not let me go hang out with my buddies time. It is I'm open for business. How the hell can I make money to keep these doors open? It's as simple as that. And you'll figure that out too if you're serious about it. If you're serious about it, you know, of course, like I did, the first year or two I was open, I would sit down and play games and all that good stuff, but the busier I got, the more the shop needed my attention, all that good stuff. You learn that you can't do that, because otherwise everything just falls to the wayside and you're playing catch up constantly. There's always something to do. There's always some cards that need to be sorted, etc., etc. So yeah, don't just think you're going to open up a shop and play games with your buddies all fucking day, because that is a surefire way for your stuff to fail with a quickness. But anyways, guys, I guess I'm done. You guys have a good one. And like I said, I was just inspired by Rob's video to show you guys that you can start with a whole bunch of nothing, you know, and as long as it's not a pigsty put together, not dilapidated, falling apart and all that, people in this realm understand that not everything is perfect, and they're more than cool with that. As long as you're not a total douchebag, the atmosphere of the shop is good, everyone has a overwhelmingly positive like time when they're here, etc., etc. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It just has to be functional, you know, inviting, functional, all that good stuff. So yeah, that's all I got, guys. You know, as I like to say, life is not a dick. Don't take it so hard. And that's true. Sometimes the dick wins, and it is what it is. But I also wanted to make this video to put it out here on the channel, because like next month I go in for my cardiologist appointment, and it's on the 22nd, and I don't really know what the hell is going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't know if they're going to tell me, you know, they're just going to put me on some statins and maybe put a stent in my artery or something, or if it's going to be something more serious or whatever, which I'm hoping it's not. But like, you know, if the doc is like, hey man, we need to bring your stress levels down, you know, we can't have you blacking out because you get, you know, stressed out or whatever, I'm gonna I'm going to find a way to either move to a way smaller spot and just try to do this on like a micro level, and just because I can't go back to really doing much of anything else. I've worked for myself for too long, and as much as I want to go back and be a cog in the wheel, I don't want to. If I absolutely have to, I will. Don't get me wrong, but if they tell me I need to cut down on my stress, I'm going to try to find a smaller spot. Worst case scenario, I sell out and figure something else out. That's not what I want to do at all, but if it happens, it happens. But I wanted to throw this one out here to keep it up for a little bit longer or whatever. For people who might be, in that weird step of, I have money, but do I have enough money to open up a shop because it's been a dream of mine? You probably have enough money. You can do it. You just got to put your nose to the fucking grindstone and be very careful and be very diligent with trying to find deals and everything when you first start out, to put tables and chairs and trash cans and displays and shelves and all that good stuff, So, and again, like I said, most card games only require you to sit a minimum of 16 people. So that's like 3 8-foot tables or maybe 4 6-foot tables, somewhere around there. So, don't laugh at that 800 square foot shop. It might be exactly what you need. But yeah, you guys have a good one. And as always, like, comment, sub, help me grow this mofo, do things with it, all that good stuff. And I will talk to you in the next video. Have a good one.